Hey guys, today I wanted to go over the Kubota SVL track loader lineup. So we got the 65, the 75, the 97, and the 110, and I'm going to go over the basic features and specs of those. Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota of Lynchburg, and I wanted to go over the specs and features and a little bit of a basic on the differences between the Kubota SVL65, SVL75, SVL97, and the new SVL110. So if you're looking at skid steers and you go, well, I know I want a Kubota, or I'm considering Kubota and I want something high quality, I don't know what size to get or what are the differences, I'm going to try to answer that for you. So I am here sitting on, not in, an SVL65. I don't know why I'm not in it, because that would be cooler, but I have an SVL65-2S. So this is a new version that the Kubota came out with in 2026, but overall there's a lot of similar features between the older 65, even if you're looking at that one. Some upgrades definitely, but similar features. So the 65 is the smallest skid steer that Kubota makes, and on their numbers that basically tells you roughly what the horsepower is. So my SVL65 is a 68 horsepower machine. My SVL75 is 75 horsepower, my 97 is a 97, and my 110 is basically 110 horsepower. So that tells you how much horsepower. What does horsepower mean in a skid steer? It basically means travel speed, less bogging down the higher horsepower you go. Obviously, the higher horsepower, the more fuel you're gonna drink, so be careful on that end. And the 97 and the 110 will have DEF fluid because they're over 75 horsepower, whereas the 65 and the 75 just have the DPF filters. So that is one less thing you have to worry about on the 65 and 75. But this 65, it has a rated operating capacity at 35%. And that's a weird spec and everything, but we're gonna say it picks up 2,100 pounds at a 35% of its maximum load rating, and that's kind of like the industry standard. So realistically, you could probably pick up off the ground 5,000 pounds with the machine, something like that, maybe even a tad bit more if you're just picking it up a foot off the ground, but rated operating capacity is what I'm gonna talk about today, 2,100 pounds. This SVL75 is gonna have around 2,700 pounds, so 600 pounds more. If you say, I definitely need to be able to pick up a little bit more pallets of bricks, more bales of hay, whatever you're doing, 75 goes up to about 2,700 pounds. And then I get up to the SVL97, we have about 3,450 pounds. So another increase of about 600-700 pounds. Then the SVL110 has a rated operating capacity about 3,700 pounds, so 1,600 pounds more than the SVL65. And if you're looking at the 100% operating capacity, this thing can pick up thousands and thousands of pounds more than the 65 because it is a much larger machine. So lift capacities explained. The next thing on these is going to be flow through your hydraulic systems. If you're just an operator using a bucket, pallet forks, a snow blade on the front, well, you're not too worried about your GPM, your gallons per minute, your hydraulic flow. But if you're going to be operating something like a bush hog, a tiller, a trencher, a mulching head, you need to know the difference in hydraulic flows and what motor your attachment's going to need. So each attachment has a different motor that might allow flows from 10 to 25 gallons per minute. Well, the SVL65 will start as low as in the teens if you get a standard flow machine, and you can tell that by, if you notice this is 4 outputs and then little ones up top, a standard flow machine is just going to have 2 outputs and the little case drain up top. So if you got a standard flow 65 or 75, you're going to be in the teens as far as gallon per minute flow goes. And if you get all the way up to the SVL110, you're going to be up to 45 gallons per minute, which means it can handle the highest, most capable hydraulic implements like a mulching head to it. So gallons per minute matter, horsepower matters because of the DPF and how much power you're getting out of it. Weights of the machine. An SVL65 is going to weigh around, it depends on cab versus open station, we'll say around 8,000 pounds. And then you have a machine that weighs about 9,500 pounds. And the machine that weighs around 11,800 pounds. And then a machine that weighs about 12,500 pounds. What does weight mean? Well, weight means, of course, how much pressure is being put on the ground. So if you're a landscaper, that kind of stuff, and you're going to be driving on grass or mulch or gravel, you might not want to rip it up as much. The SVL65 is amazing as far as operator Smoothness and comfort. It's got great visibility because it's a little bit of a smaller chassis. Great visibility. The controls and response are awesome because there's less track on the ground ripping up and having the friction against it. So when you jump in a 65 compared to a 110, you feel that you're a lot more maneuverable in tight areas. Plus, you might not need a CDL if you have an SVL65 or 75 because they're a little bit lighter. So keep that in mind as well for when you're hauling it on your truck and trailer. The cabs on these are all amazing. Kubota makes an amazing cab that you just push a button, it just swings up. It's easy in it, easy egress, getting out of it. They're spacious, there's plenty of headroom, there's plenty of features. They've got a really nice, pretty 7-inch LCD digital display that you can control things with, backlit buttons, so if you're working in the dark, you can see all of your buttons and features that you need to do. Plenty of space in here. The air conditioning systems work great. Kubota really is designed for operator comfort. So that is one thing that they really prioritize on. Plenty of leg room. People love the cabs of the Kubota SVLs. So keep that in mind. All of these are very nice. Realistically, all of these have about the same size cab. So the 65 to the 110, you're gonna feel about the same in all of them. So you're not gonna have to be like, ooh, well, maybe in the 65, it's gonna be too small for me if I'm a larger guy. Well, they're all the same and all of them will fit. I've got plenty of customers that are 300-400 pounds that fit in these and can operate all day long. So you can get cab stations that have air conditioning, heat, radio. All of the skid steers from Kubota now come standard with backup cameras, which is awesome for when you're working in tight areas or loading on trailers or anything like that. They all have LED lights front and rear now. They're just some standard features that should have been there years ago, but Kubota is there now. They have these really nice features. So whether you're looking at the 65 or the 97 and the 110, they're gonna have these standard comfort features, the LED lights, the backup cameras, the air condition, the high back seats. Now when you get to the 97 and the 110, these seats are even gonna be more deluxe. Most of the time, the dealers order them with air ride seats, which means it's comfy. And if you get one with the Kubota shockless ride, which is basically a system that absorbs the shock on your loader arm, so when you're carrying something heavy, it's not bouncing as much, combine that with an air ride seat and you've got a comfy ride. But that's available technically on all of these models. So you can choose an air ride or a shockless ride on all of them. It's gonna come down to what's your horsepower requirements, your gallon per minute requirements, and of course your price requirements. An SVL65, depending on how you spec it out, high flow, standard flow, cab, open station, you know, you could be anywhere from the upper 50s, low 60s, up to the 70s, and an SVL110 can go for as much as $120,000 depending on how you're specing them. So price, horsepower, flow, lift capacity, all things you want to consider. One more thing you're going to want to consider about Kubota is they do have a very easy maintenance system to work on. This SVL97, the 75, the 65, all these doors operate the same. Pick up the doors, you have to take a bolt or two out and swing the radiator out and you have all this access. And of course the skid steer cab and chassis actually raises up so you can get underneath the front as well. That's just 2 little bolts that hold that down. The 110 has an even better system to it. If I open this guard, this is an option, not standard, but an option to put some extra guards that you can see on this machine here. If I open this guard, open the door, the SVL110 has a really nice system, which is you pull this little latch and your whole radiator swings out and you have really easy access to everything for service, maintenance parts, cleaning out the mud, the debris, the tree mulch that you've mulched down and everything. So some things to think about. So that's kind of your specs and your features on each one. Kubota is designed quality. You're probably not gonna have Kubota as the cheapest skid steer that you're going to buy, but if you want something that's going to last forever, no matter which model you choose, and it's going to have great resale value and parts and service, the Kubota skid steers are probably something you should consider. And just reach out to your local dealer or reach out to me if you have questions about which one might be best for whatever projects you have lined up.